Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely, fluffy, non-fluffy, equally lovely and beautiful listeners out there. How's it going? How are you? Hope you're doing well this week. It has been a bit of an up and down week for me. I am laying on my couch, looking up at my ceiling, and I noticed that there is a ladybug that has traveled from one corner of the room to the other in about a day. You gotta hand it to ladybugs. They have a lot of dedication. And they're also very, they're very determined. But this one in particular just seems to be just chilling. So I'm gonna leave them right there. But yeah, not a whole lot has happened this week in terms of events, but, I should say the last week and a half. But it still is not without its stories, and I'm going completely off script here because I have a number of things that have happened, but I don't have anything written down, at least not at this time. So I'm just gonna wing it and see what happens. I will say I am very comfortable. Maybe that's the problem, but I've been keeping pretty level. And also got into some reading this week, which I will get into as well. As always, well, occasionally I will include a quote from something I've been reading, which I will include near the end, which I thought was very interesting. So I think you'll appreciate what I have for you. But let's see. So last week, not a whole lot went. Oh, hello. Someone's having a good day. So, let's see. Last week is kind of a blur, if I'm being honest. Leading up to the weekend, I ended up... Well, I put out a new ASMR, which I will link in the description. So, if any of you would like to see that, feel free to check it out. I really appreciate that. But, yeah, last week, not a whole lot happened other than just regular work. Over the weekend, I went to Columbus, which was a lot of fun. I went to see a good friendo who, excuse me, just recently moved into a new house, and got to visit them, spend some time, and enjoy, excuse me, enjoy some time. And also, there's a reason why I'm coughing a little bit, so I'll get into that too, but... Yeah, so went to see Friendo. We had a good time together and got to visit most of Saturday. I've been kind of recovering over the weekend from what feels like a small cold. Now, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it was, but I did catch something while I was in Columbus. I'm not sure what or where it was from. But it could be anywhere. Like, I could have just put my hand on the wrong surface. I could have, interacted with the wrong person who had something and didn't say anything. It's really anything goes at this point. But needless to say, Sunday, I drove back home fairly early after the long weekend. And I got home and I had a sore throat. So it was already on its way to manifesting whatever lovely ailment I was about to deal with. And as you all know, I am very adamant about not getting sore throats. Like, I have said this before, and I will say it again. Add this to the list of things that Sammy doesn't like. Okay? I will take a cough. I will take a headache, a migraine, a fever. I will take congestion. I will take a stomach ache. I will take... Oh man, pretty much any other cold symptom that is like part of the package, anything. But a sore throat, I just cannot deal. Like, a sore throat it's insanity to me. I cannot deal with it. It is one of those things, like, if I start getting a sore throat, I have to cure it immediately because I know how miserable it is. And I am, unfortunately, one of those people that if I get a sore throat that's like really bad, and you know the type I'm talking about, it's like it hurts to swallow, you have no appetite, it just burns, like every time you try to eat something or drink water, it's just you're in agony. Like, the like hot burning, like feeling like you can't breathe, pressure sensation, that's the one I hate the most. Like, there's different levels with a sore throat, but the particular one that I'm talking about is just the peak of sore throats. I will take any other cold symptom, even flu symptoms, I will go as far to say, but give me all that and I will treat it normally, but give me a sore throat and I am a miserable being. Like, even to the point where my mood is affected. Like, I am not a happy camper. My attitudes are all over the place. I can't deal. I have I've had sore throats like this, and I have gone to work and I've been like short with people and just snappy because I'm in pain. I'm miserable. I hate it. So, and I know there's a lot worse things out there that could be, like, oh, well, you think a sore throat's bad? What about this? Well, I understand that. Look, I get it. I've been through a lot of sicknesses in my days, but sore throats cannot do them. But I did end up getting a small one over this weekend. Thankfully, it did not manifest to the hot burning, can't breathe, like painful levels that I just described. But it was enough to where I was just like, ugh, please spare me. So lots of acetaminophen, water, and mouthwash swishing and saltwater swishing later, and I was able to kill it pretty quick. So in about a day, it was gone, thankfully. Like, I'll even take a dry throat over sore. Just can't do it. Like, for the remainder of the last few days, it was dry. So I will accept that. I will accept a dry throat, but sore, no, can't do it. But I ended up taking Monday off of work. I had to call off because it was just, I had a fever, I had a cough, and thankfully no congestion, and my little, my, whatever you want to call it, my little minuscule case of a sore throat. So I did not work on Monday. Instead, I slept most of the day, and I slept most of the day, and I just basically festered for most of the day. Also, Archie is getting in my face, literally. So, hi. Why are you licking my nose? You're gross. Your breath stinks. Can you go away? Oh my gosh, Archie, hello. That is the microphone, sir. Can you please not do that? I would appreciate it. Like, Archie does this thing whenever he wants attention. He will like sit on me and he will like rub his face onto my face, which is really cute, but usually I can smell what he had for lunch that day, which is kibble. Kibble doesn't smell good, sir. So I would appreciate if you backed off a little bit. So let me try to adjust this. Give me a second. Oh my gosh, Archie, you are heavy. Get. Okay, that's better. Whew. That is my water, sir. Please don't put your face in that. I love him, though. He's my boy. But you can be annoying sometimes. Even though you are annoying at times, I love you very much. So, I was sick. Took Monday off, which was the right move, because I was miserable. But anyway, so went to a little event in Columbus. Got to put on my spandex and my harness, and that was a lot of fun. We had a little dance session and just some hangout time. It was really nice, and really missed being down there for that event. I hadn't been to one in months. Well, they haven't had it in like a lot of months, but I'm really glad that it pulled off the way it did, because it was a lot of fun. I do appreciate that. Shout out to Shutter and Coda for putting on a wonderful time for all the furries. But yeah, other than that, what was I going to talk about? This is what happens when I go off script. I forget things. But so going to that event, I got sick. I'm doing a lot better now, by the way, so thankfully. And going on to this week, I went to the event, and then, Then yesterday was an interesting day because we had our little company picnic. This is not a yearly thing. It only happens when like there are special events. In this case, it was the 10-year anniversary of the company that I work for being basically being bought out by a bigger company, which I don't know why you would celebrate that, but whatever. Um, so basically, our 10-year anniversary of the company being acquired by a bigger company. So they, you know, they have a right to celebrate, I guess. I mean, I'm not complaining. I got free food, so. And what was cool was I got to take my parents with me, which was awesome. They'd never been to where I work. They'd never seen it. They've never, experienced it fully. So I got to explore that with them and show them around. And we did a little plant tour, which was nice. I got to see my desk where I work, and we got to enjoy a very nice lunch together. And yeah, so I do appreciate them coming down and enjoying the time that we all had together. But that same night, so yesterday, I did something that I hadn't really thought about doing, but until they brought it up, which was, I guess, I'm not going to say where, but in the county that I used to reside in, so where my residence used to be, they were having a CCW training course, which, to those of you who are not familiar with that term, it means concealed carry weapon. So basically, it was a gun permit class. How to carry a firearm legally in the United States, and like what to expect with laws, and how to obtain your permit. It wasn't a class to obtain your permit because that's a whole separate thing. But no, it was just it was a very interesting, informative class to talk about, well, the state of Ohio, which is where I live, as you all know, you can conceal carry openly, meaning you can carry without a license, which I thought was interesting to learn. You could still get your license, but you're not going to be prosecuted for carrying a weapon that is not registered. I don't know when that changed. Well, I do. It was like 3 years ago because they taught in the class. But I guess it goes with well, I want to say it's the Second Amendment. And look, I'm not going to get into a whole thing about this, all right? This is my podcast. I've told you before, I'm going to be open and honest, and I'm going to be, and basically nothing's off limits to talk about, right? The point I'm making is I'm not going to get too political, okay? That's not what this podcast is about. So yeah, nothing's off limits, and we can talk about stuff, but I am not going to get into the politics of it, only because I know how divisive it is. So that happened yesterday. And let's see. Today was really no different. It was just hot today, It's been hot all week. Oh my gosh, it's just been like booming hot here, and humidity has been absolutely crazy. And let's see. So that happened, and between that and what's been going on, this coming weekend, I'm looking forward to doing a love stream, which I would love to see you all there, if you're listening. So we'll be doing a love stream on Saturday. I haven't put the details out there yet, but you will see an announcement very soon. I will be having a very special guest with me, so keep an eye on that. And I can't wait for you to meet them all. So I can't wait for you all to meet them, and we're going to have a good time together. So here we go. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much been my last couple weeks. Oh, and I do want to mention, I've been reading up a lot about proper sleep and rest, and I've been learning about not only the importance of a full night's sleep, but also taking rests throughout the day. So a lot of you know, and I mentioned this probably many times before, throughout my day, especially my work days, I will lay down and take a small 10-15 minute nap. So my first nap is oftentimes on a work day. My first nap is around 10 minutes or so, in the morning right before I go into work. So I get to my workplace. I usually start at 8 o'clock. So I get to my workplace around 7:30, and I will chill in my car, and I will recline the seat, take a 10-15 minute nap before I have to go in. And it works wonders, let me tell you. And then my lunchtime, I usually take another 10-minute nap, which is really nice. Gets me through the rest of the day. And then sometimes I will, take a break when I get home after I get home from work, probably around 5 or 6, and I'll take another 10-minute nap. Sometimes that'll turn into 20 minutes, depending on my time and what I have to do for the rest of the day. But yeah, it's a nice little break, I do have to say, and I'm really happy that it kind of gets me through my day. I know that I've read this book a number of times. It's by Dale Carnegie. I think I've talked about it before. Called "How to Stop Worrying and Start Living," which is a beautiful book. If you haven't had a copy or read an excerpt from it, I absolutely recommend it. It is transformative, and as cliche as it sounds, there's a lot of wisdom in that book. I think you'll find very informative for yourself. But there's a whole chapter in that book on rest and recharging and sleeping. And Dale Carnegie interviewed, and he's a man of his time, so we're talking like post World War II is when this book was written. So he's interviewed a number of people over the past, I'll say, early 20th century. And he interviewed a lot of managers, CEOs, business owners, and, all from small to big. And even like his own friends he interviewed, and he talked about like, how do you get through your day? What gives you the energy through your day? Is it a cup of coffee? Is it like chatting with friends? Do you have a supplement that you use? And a lot of them responded and they said, no, when I find the time, whether it's like 5, 10, 15 minutes, I will close the door and I will take a nap, a proper nap, right? So yeah, I find that very fascinating. So I started to do it myself about a year and a half ago. After reading that, I started to actually follow the advice, and I take small naps throughout the day. And let me tell you, I find that I am more productive. I get more done. I have a lot more. I feel like I have a lot more time after I take a nap, because it helps me get my tasks done a little better and a little quicker. And I just feel more refreshed and rejuvenated. So, however, it can sometimes backfire. It's become sort of a routine in my days, mostly, because I'll find that if I skip my nap during lunch, or if I skip it in the morning, or maybe in the late afternoon, I will crash later. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, that if I just, take 1 or 2 days and just skip my nap, then I will crash in the night. But yesterday was one of those days, mostly because of the picnic events that were going on at my workplace. I ended up, excuse me, skipping my afternoon nap because we had a long break in the day for the little picnic that we had, and I didn't get my afternoon nap, so I ended up and then from work I basically had to go to the CCW training, right? And I didn't get my secondary nap at the end of the day either. So what happened was I basically fell asleep around 11 p.m., which is pretty early for me, right? That's unusual. I usually am asleep around like 12:30 or 1 in the morning, and then I'll get a solid 6 hours and then go into work the next day. But in this case, I lost my last 2 naps of the day, and I crashed out about 11. I didn't crash out, but I crashed at 11 last night, listening to Mr. Nightmare of all things. But yeah, it's unfortunate because I wanted to do this podcast last night when I got home, but I ended up, very, very tired, and I just put on Mr. Nightmare. Before I knew it, I was asleep, and I woke up around 2 in the morning, and I was like, oh crap, I fell asleep. I didn't know. So I got my stuff ready for the next morning, and I went to my bed and fell asleep. So yeah, that being said, if you can find the time to have a nap, I highly recommend it. And hey, It may do wonders. Even if you can get one in through the day, it will change your life, and it has changed mine. Like, I had my afternoon nap this afternoon, and I had one this morning, and I feel great. I feel energized, and as I say this from my couch talking to you, laying down, but um, even it doesn't even have to be sleeping. Even if you can't sleep, just take some time to just rest. Like, find a place to recline, sit down, lay down if you can, and just clear your head and just meditate, or just whew, just let it all go for about 10-15 minutes, even if you don't sleep. That will do wonders for you as well. So, speaking of which, I have been getting into more meditation recently, and I'm not consistent on it, but I found that it does help, especially for mindfulness and awareness. Okay, so um, it's given me a sense of kind of like a sense of self, and kind of like reaching that inner part of myself that I don't often get to spend time with. And I think a lot of us have that. Like, we don't take the time to spend time with ourselves, and I think that's the one of the hardest things that we can do, is like getting in touch with ourselves and our emotions and our feelings and what we're really feeling. And if there's something in our life that is grinding or feeling like we're at a loss over, I think it can be really healthy to get in touch with those deep, dark, like untouched feelings, and just kind of let them free, release them. So, yeah, I'm working on my meditation journey, but I'll let you know how that continues to go. Um, so, switching gears entirely, I do want to bring something up before I get to my quotes of the week here, that I thought was fairly interesting, that I watched recently. I've been going down this rabbit hole of internet videos recently about like topical videos, which is not unusual for the internet. Like, you find topical videos everywhere you look on YouTube. Even if you're not searching for them, the algorithm will appear one to you magically once in a while. So, like, you'll see things like, oh, the true story of Toy Story, or like, you didn't know this about the NASA moon landing, which goes into conspiracy stuff. But the informative topical videos that you all know what I'm talking about. Um, Lately, I've been watching ones that delve into specific topics. Like, this one talks about Walmart shoppers. This one talks about if you're an adult and you go to Disneyland and you enjoy that. Okay, Disney adults, cool. I did find one video that I just have to talk about. And I will also link it in the description, but I do have to give you a little bit of a disclaimer. Viewer discretion is advised if you are, I will say, particularly under the age of 18, because it does delve into topics that unfold into more adult themes. So I'm going to put a little 18 plus next to the link, just so you're aware. It's a YouTube video. It's not age restricted, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not like that. It's just that the topics they talk about, this one in particular, has to do particularly with adult themes. So just, yeah, at your own risk, just keep a watch on this video. But anyway, that being said, the video in question was actually from Meat Canyon on his second channel. And all of you have heard that name somewhere before. If you have not seen an animation, you have definitely seen a podcast, or you've seen probably one of his second channel videos. He's an interesting individual. Yeah, all you have to do is Google Meat Canyon, and you're going to find all sorts of messed up animations. Anyway, it's from him, right? So, the video was talking about pet play. And I don't mean, like, if you have a pet and you play with them. I'm talking about, like, indulging in the act of pet play. So we're talking like human pups, human kittens, leather ponies, that kind of thing, right? And he went on a whole half-hour explanation of it, and I was like, oh no. Like, sitting here as a furry, I'm just like, Oh, here we go. He found it. He found one of our little subgenres of the fandom here, and he's going to talk about it. So, and I do want to mention, pet play is its own thing. Okay, and I've heard this argument before. I've heard it on both sides, but here's what I think and what I believe about pet play is that it is its own thing. Okay, it is not a furry fandom exclusive thing. It is, in fact, its own entity, its own subculture or subsect of a culture, if you will. Um, Oftentimes, pet play, like pups, leather ponies, cats, kittens, they often will intersect with each other because they're related. They have to do with anthropomorphizing animals. They have to do with activities, similar to what furries do. And so when you go to a convention or a meet or something like that, you will often see pup hoods. You often see leather ponies. You often see cat hoods. They oftentimes will meet up with each other. There are a lot of pet players who are furries, and there are a lot of pet players who are not furries. In the same way, there are a lot of furries who are not into pet play. I myself am not personally into pet play. I have tried on a pup hood before, and I just did not feel it. I'm going to be honest. I've talked about this before with pup hoods in particular because that's one of the more popular categories of pet play is pups. Um, I don't have the headspace in particular. I don't feel it. I don't really. Um, it's not that I don't get it. I totally understand it, but and I respect it. But I don't. I don't find myself in that. I don't see myself participating in pet play in particular or proper. And also, in terms of that, I don't really see myself being a handler. I mean, I guess I could if I were in that. If I were in if I were to categorize myself into pet play, or if I were to put myself into identifying or saying that I'm involved in pet play, I would definitely be a handler, but I would not be one myself, if that makes sense. So that's the role that I see myself in. I would probably be more of a temporary handler. Like, let's say I'm at a convention or an event. I don't mind being a handler. I would totally do that. But I also wouldn't do the long term, I guess. I wouldn't do long term handling. So I don't know if I'd have somebody that, I'd have as my pet necessarily as a commitment. Um, because, yeah, I would totally do short term. Like, it's a fun once in a while thing. Maybe at an event, maybe at a con, something like that. I'm totally cool with that. But long term, I don't see myself doing that. Like as far as like a full time thing, right? And I know that for a lot of people, it's a lifestyle. Like you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a lot in particular with the pet play community, right? And of course, like you have the furry fandom, which is there's a lot of that dynamic as well. Like you may be a furry and you have that pet and like handler or owner dynamic, but you're not into pet play traditional, if that makes sense. So like there may not be any hoods involved or anything like that. It's a dynamic that also exists in the furry fandom. That I can see myself being a little more comfortable with just because it's in the furry fandom and not necessarily into the pet play aspect, right? So there's a lot of differentiation, right? There's ways that I could see myself in that particular category, but there's other ways that I can see myself not in that. So it's very specific. It's like right down the middle, very specific as it were. I guess for me, it would be if I were to do a commitment, it would be like, okay, I'm cool with that, and I'm cool with calling myself an owner or a handler, but it would have to be like, this is it's a once in a while thing. It's like how do I say this? Like if we want to role play, that's cool. We can do that. But it's not a 24/7 thing, right? I would need to kind of take breaks from it. I would need to kind of revert to a homeostasis, as it were. So, yeah, that's kind of where I see myself in that. But, as far as being a pet myself, I could not do it. I'm definitely not fitting in that category. But anyway, So, back to this video. um, Meat Canyon had his reactions, and I'm just sitting there kind of wincing, like, oh, he saw that. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's that. Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about this now. And you have to see the video to kind of understand what I'm saying, but you'll see what I mean when you watch it. But yeah, it was very interesting to me. At the end of the day, just kind of like, you know, the question that remained to me was, why is this type of thing so seemingly controversial? Like, I know that Beta, aka, wow, why am I blanking on his name? Beta, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The big YouTuber Beta, yeah, him. He made a video about the puphood, like specific, and why it's so controversial in the furry fandom, right? And why is it so controversial in general? And that's because a lot of it has to do with adult activities. However, that doesn't mean that it can't be SFW. And I know I've talked about this before, but I think what I would say to that whole video that Meat Canyon put out, and to people in the community who have questions, is it's not exclusively an adult activity, right? It doesn't have to include adult activities. Like, yeah, it's a considerably a subsect of the, BDSM community, right? And I have to say that carefully, right? But that's how it's understood to be, right? But I've met plenty of people who do it, who have, they have their hood, they have their harness, they have their leash, all that stuff, but they are not specifically in it for adult activities. Like, it is not an adult exclusive thing. So much so to the point where I've noticed at certain events, like certain conventions and also certain events, I'm not going to name the names of the events just because I don't really know exactly what their policies are, and I just want to, I want to be respectful of, I don't want to be sending them any hate or anything like that. But that being said, I've been to places and events and cons where they do not allow like pup hoods. They don't allow pup hoods or like any sort of gear of that nature. Like during certain hours of the day, it has to be at a certain time of night, and it only has to be, worn in these areas, or not at all, right? Like, I just went to an event recently that I talked about. I'm not going to say the name, but I went to an event recently, and one of my friends in my group was wearing a pup hood because he wanted to, he wanted to be himself. He wanted to express himself in a way that he felt comfortable. But a staff member at this event was like, hey, you cannot have that on. Can you take it off, please? And he had to take it off. And he ended up like wearing it on his belt the rest of the day, which I thought was kind of sad, honestly. I was like, well, why are you telling him to take it off? I don't see a problem with it. He's not doing anything that's, considered lascivious, and he wasn't doing anything that was problematic. He wasn't behaving in any way. Like, he wasn't, he was just standing there vibing with us, wearing his pup hood, and they told him to take it off. And I'm just like, why? There's no reason to do that. Like, why would you want? And okay, devil's advocate on this would say, okay, I understand that the I guess the vibe of it, or the reputation of it in the past has been oftentimes solidified with adult activities, which, yes, it has, but then again, so have fursuits. So am I supposed to take off my fursuit head? Because there's twitter.com and there's videos of people doing stuff in fursuits as well. Is that a problem? So you see where it kind of breaks apart, is like, okay, yeah, I see their point, but at the same time, it's not inherently an adult thing. Like, it's not a 18 plus thing exclusive, right? So that's where it breaks down for me. Even in the Meat Canyon video, they joke a lot about how it's not an adult thing, and like they say it sarcastically, and like, hey, yeah, I get what you guys are saying. You're completely trolling this. Understood. You're a content creator. That's what you do. You get a rise out of people. But at the end of the day, in reality, I don't think it's inherently an adult thing. Like, even at that event, I was like, I don't see a problem. I don't think that he should have to take it off because it's not, as far as I can tell, it's not making anybody uncomfortable. He wasn't doing anything inappropriate. He wasn't saying anything inappropriate. He wasn't, acting in a way that would cause him to get thrown out or, cause anybody to be, or to have a problem in general, unless people were like murmuring and saying, "Oh yeah, well that's a hood and that's all about sex." And it's like, no, it's not. No, it's a headspace thing. It's not a inherently sexual thing. So I guess the overall point I'm trying to make is I don't think it's a problem, and it's not inherently a sexual thing. So if you want to wear the pup hood, wear it. If you want to wear the cat hood, if you want to wear the leather pony hood, do it. It is your character. That is something that is special to you, and that is something that I don't think should be discouraged. So, yeah, check out that video in the description, viewer discretion, because they get into a lot of topics in that video, right? But keep an open mind, definitely, and I think we can turn this around. I think we can make this a better environment for everybody, not only in the fandom, but also in the pet play fandom and subculture. And yeah, just realize that it is not one thing or one-sided, right? So that's all I have to say about that. We're up to, wow, 41 minutes. Look at that. We're coming up to some goody time here. And I think to end off, I have a couple things that I want to read to you that I ended up reading this morning because I think it's important to get a better sense of our own character and also, excuse me, a better sense of our own character and self, like I talked about with meditation. But there is a quote that I love, and so much so that I had to add it to my collection. I know a lot of you have heard me list off various Stoicism quotes over the years, and this is one of them. This is from Epictetus, and this showed up on my phone this morning, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love this. I'm going to read it. So here it is. So this is Epictetus, and he's talking about how you look to other people. And he says, I laugh at those who think they can damage me. They do not know who I am. They do not know what I think. They cannot even touch the things which are mine and with I live. So I love that. Laugh at those who think they can damage me. They really don't know who I am because they don't, and they don't know what I think either. And they can't touch the things that are really mine and which I live. So what he's saying is nobody can really get at your sense of being. It's kind of like, what that reminded me of was, in a sense, it reminded me of Nick Wilde's quote from Zootopia when he talked about letting other people see that they get to you, right? And there's a whole discussion about that, which we can talk about someday. But in a sense, Nick was quoting Epictetus. He was talking about how this, in essence, is you, right? Nobody can touch that true inner being that is you, right? And nobody can truly, alter that. That is for you to be responsible over. That is for nobody else to truly know. And only you can show that to the world however you decide to. That is true self-actualization. That is true sense of self, and one that, the person who is one with their inner being, they cannot be shaken, right? However, that does take practice. It takes practice, and it takes a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness to realize that you are indeed unique. You are special, and you are you, and nobody can tell you who that person is. And they can't touch what you think, they can't touch what you have and what you live by, and they cannot be the judge or the pilot of your life. That is for you to decide and for you to be. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that could be a good servitude to all of you who heard that. But I also want to read, and sort of going off of that a little bit, I also want to read something that I read this morning. Actually, it was a YouTube short that I heard from one Mr. Michael Caine, who read, um, let's see, Rudyard Kipling, and a lot of you have heard the name Kipling before, but this is what Kipling says about, excuse me, um, the poem that he writes here is titled "How to Be a Man," but you can translate that however you want. So I would say it's how to find your true sense of self, or how to like truly like understand yourself as a person. So despite the title, I'm gonna read what it says. So this is Kipling talking about how to essentially be upright and be your own person. So here we go. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in the lies, or being hated, don't give into the way of hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise at the same time. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you give your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your own beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So again, translate that however you like, as far as being your own person, being a person, right? And I will leave that there for you to interpolate for yourself in your own life. But what he's really saying, I think, in the end, is you can come into your own. And there is no need to impress or to prove who you are or what you can do. So Kipling had it right when he said, you are your own person. And nobody else can be that except for you. And if you can do all these things and still not waver, even though you go through hard times and you may struggle, no one can take that from you. So always remember that, and always be yourself. And on that, I think that's the podcast. And I will say to that, always be you and be yourself, because there has never been anyone like you. There will never be anyone like you in the future, and there is no one like you right now. Excuse me. And just remember the Latin phrase, sic Parvis Magna. Remember greatness from small beginnings. Remember where you started. Remember where you're going, and remember that there is greatness in every step, no matter whether you find it or create it. Only you can walk this path that you have laid out for yourself. And no one can do the things quite like you can, because only you have that power, and the world needs you just as you are. And always, as always, I want to thank you all for your support and your love. I could not be here without you. You have made me the person that I am today, and I would never, ever be able to thank all of you enough for what you've done in my life. This is the joy of my life, I want you to know, and every day I'm in your debt, and I have never felt more blessed in my life. So, to that, I want to thank you for listening. I want to say that I love you all so much. And until next time, this is Samson Kitty Fox, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye. Meow meow.